Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, July 21st, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 293 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is news of a series of secret meetings held this week between members of the Trump administration and local Colorado government officials known to be critical of legal marijuana. Tom Angel at MassRoots has a great piece up about these secret meetings, which are only known to the world because of reporting by Colorado Springs CBS affiliate KKTV, which was tipped off about the meeting ahead of time and captured footage of attendees before they met. Federal officials included representatives from the Office of Vice President Mike Pence, as well as the Office of National Drug Control Policy, otherwise known as ONDCP. As Tom is reporting, the participation of the ONDCP could indicate that these secret meetings are part of a larger move by the federal government against legal marijuana. Swing over to MassRoots for Tom's full piece on this one. We swing up north to Canada, where the possibility of a delay in rolling out next year's marijuana legalization was floated by the nation's premiers on Wednesday when they issued a statement saying they would request more time to implement adult use legalization if a number of issues weren't addressed this year. Shortly after that statement was released, however, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told reporters that the original timeline of launching adult use legalization by July of next year was still in effect. In their statement, the Canadian premiers say they wanted to see action taken on road safety and cannabis use, the distribution network for legal marijuana products, the industry's taxation scheme, public education programs, and ways to decouple legal sales from the illicit market. Our final top story of the day is the first 2 big days of adult use legalization in the nation of Uruguay, which opened up legal cannabis sales via pharmacies on Wednesday. The AP is reporting that lines were long outside the few handfuls of pharmacies that are taking part in legal marijuana sales, and that most sold out their inventory in the first day. Uruguay requires people wanting to buy legal adult use marijuana to register as users, with approximately 5,000 on the books so far. Each registered user is able to buy up to 40 grams of marijuana flower per month, and right now has just 2 kinds to choose from, both low THC, high CBD strains. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed, which you absolutely need to be subscribed to. In the world of marijuana news and headlines, the newsfeed represents the protoplasm that this show is formed from. It's the daily collection of all relevant legal marijuana industry headlines handily organized by state. We know how siloed our industry actually is in terms of geography, and we just want to make it easy for you to jump right to the news and headlines that matter most to you. Just open up mjtodaymedia.com/newsfeed to subscribe. That's mjtodaymedia.com/newsfeed. All right, time for the Blitz. Our first 2 Blitz headlines are connected as they tell the same story in 2 different places. One of a shortage of employees able to pass a pre-employment drug test. First up is Michigan, where Crain's Detroit is reporting that employers are having a hard time filling job spots because of a high percentage of applicants failing drug tests due to marijuana use. One company is reported to have furloughed 100 workers during a slow period and had each and every one of them fail a drug test when they came back to the job, most for cannabis. In response, as you would hope, a lot of Michigan companies are questioning their drug testing policies, either opting to forego the practice entirely or only focusing in on results for drugs like cocaine and heroin. The second part of this 2-story connection happens in Colorado, where companies are similarly having a hard time filling job spots with non-cannabis consumers. Same story, different state. This is going to happen everywhere as long as companies keep drug testing. In California, a recent police raid on a legal marijuana cultivation facility that will cost 50 union members their jobs is being criticized by the Los Angeles chapter of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, which recently unionized the operation. The police raided the facility operated by the company THC Design after they alleged that the company was stealing electricity to power their operations. In the raid, the police walked away with the company's plants, which forced THC Design to shutter that operation after an approximate loss of $2 million. To be clear, the police just walked in and stole the plants. There was no court order, just a bunch of overly aggressive police officers. In a statement released on Wednesday, the Teamsters said that THC Design was a law-abiding company that was being unfairly targeted by police. Hawaii News Now is reporting that the Hawaii Department of Health said that they could complete certification of the state's first testing lab by the end of this month, with there being a chance of it being done by this week. Regular listeners know that the state has been dragging their feet for the last year or so trying to get their medical marijuana system up and running, with the latest logjam coming from a lack of testing companies able to certify medical cannabis as clear for sale. There are dispensaries waiting to sell and cannabis harvested and ready to go in the state just as soon as the testing part of the system is clear. We'll obviously keep on top of this one. The Cannabist has a good piece up about Denver's new outdoor amphitheater, the Levitt Pavilion, which was funded in part by donations made from legal marijuana companies. The new performing arts facility, which opened yesterday and that holds 17,000 spectators, received $250,000 in donations from legal cannabis companies, Open Vape and the Colorado Harvest Company, which are actually owned by the same corporation. Nice work there. With the Trump administration falling to scandalous pieces before our very eyes, Attorney General Jeff Sessions says he has no plans on resigning in the wake of a New York Times interview with President Trump, in which the president said he never would have hired Sessions as Attorney General if he had known that he was going to recuse himself from the investigation into Trump's collusion and conspiracy with the Russian government. Yesterday, Attorney General Sessions reaffirmed his commitment to his job, saying, quote, "We love this job, we love this department, and I plan to continue to do so as long as that is appropriate," unquote. Given the frenzy with which Attorney General Sessions is trying to roll out his regressive drug policy reforms, one might wonder if he's feeling the pressure to get changes made while he's still not under indictment. We'll see how this thing changes pretty much by the hour. Our final story of the day wraps us up down in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Senator Positive Nelson announced yesterday that he would be submitting legislation to legalize medical marijuana for the second year in a row. The senator said that this year's efforts were informed by last year's defeat, saying, quote, "The new measure has been reviewed by policy advisors, industry leaders, and others to ensure that we have a solid and comprehensive product. We also included the pertinent changes made by various senators that surfaced last year when the measure was heard in the Committee on Health, Hospital, and Human Services," unquote. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJTodayDaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.